到我混沌今天这个特性。2012年。
Unveiling that China has one big slogan, false glory or harsh reality. 1. A mirage of triumph when victory is just a chant. Across social media platforms like Weibo, Douyin, and WeChat, the phrase, "China has won big," resonates as a powerful slogan, reverberating through patriotic influencer videos, posts showcasing gleaming high-speed rail networks, and headlines touting Huawei's technological leaps. These narratives sweep viewers into a fervor, convincing them that China stands unrivaled at the world's pinnacle, leaving the United States and the West scrambling in its wake. But is this truly a triumph, or merely a carefully crafted emotional facade masking profound fractures in the nation's economy, society, and technological landscape? This slogan is far more than a catchy phrase. It's a psychological instrument, wielded by those who dominate media narratives to ignite national pride, lulling citizens into overlooking the escalating challenges of everyday life. Picture yourself scrolling through Douyin, stumbling upon a video adorned with a fluttering national flag. An influencer, voice brimming with conviction, proclaims that America has crumbled and China reigns supreme. The comment section erupts with clapping emojis and fervent cries of, "We've won!" But when you close the app and glance at your finances, what greets you? An unrelenting mortgage, a paycheck stretched thin by rising costs, or a future shrouded in uncertainty. That's the moment you begin to question, who is truly winning big? In truth, this slogan isn't a reflection of reality, but a deliberate diversion. It fixates people on recycled tales of victory splashed across social media, while pressing issues, unemployment, crippling debt, and growing inequality are swept under the rug. A closer look at China's economic fabric reveals stark vulnerabilities. Manufacturing is contracting, foreign companies are fleeing, and ordinary citizens are buckling under intensifying financial pressures. Let's dive into the economy, where raw numbers cut through the haze of propaganda, though they can be manipulated to serve it. In April 2025, China's Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index, PMI, languished at 49.4, marking 6 consecutive months below the critical 50 threshold that separates growth from decline. A PMI under 50 signals shrinking new orders, dwindling industrial output, and evaporating manufacturing jobs. In contrast, the United States posted a PMI of 51.8, Japan 52.5, and Vietnam 51.2, all signaling robust growth. China's persistent decline isn't a mere statistic, it's a red flag that an industry once the nation's backbone is faltering. Yet, social media brims with claims that orders are flooding back and the West can't compete. The reality? Those orders aren't returning to China. They're flowing to India, Vietnam, and other Southeast Asian nations. A Nikkei Asia report disclosed that by the first quarter of 2025, over 356 foreign manufacturing firms had shuttered their Chinese operations, with 47% redirecting investments to India. This exodus is part of the China Plus One strategy, where global corporations diversify supply chains to mitigate geopolitical risks and lower production costs. The departure of these factories doesn't just slash jobs, it drags down ancillary sectors like logistics, transportation, and local services. Industrial zones that once buzzed with activity now teeter on the brink of becoming ghost towns, their vibrancy replaced by eerie silence. Imagine a factory worker in Guangdong, once proud to produce goods for a global brand. One morning, he's handed a notice. The plant is closing, and production is shifting to Vietnam. Jobless, without transferable skills, he faces the daunting task of supporting his family. Meanwhile, a Douyin influencer, standing before a backdrop of cranes and cargo ships, extols China's manufacturing dominance. This worker's plight remains untold, yet it mirrors the reality for millions. These laborers were the heart of the world's factory, But as global supply chains pivot, they are abandoned, their contributions erased from the narrative of national glory. Exports, long the engine of China's economic miracle, are also stuttering. According to the General Administration of Customs, total exports dropped 2.4% in Q1 2025, with shipments to Europe and the US plummeting 8.6%. Exports to Russia climbed 12.9%, and to Xi'an 3.1%, which might seem encouraging, but a deeper look paints a bleaker picture. Exports to Russia are dominated by low-end electronics and industrial components, while those to Africa consist of plastic toys, cheap footwear, and disposable goods. Falling export prices have crushed profit margins, forcing businesses into a cutthroat race to offer the lowest bids. China is sustaining its export volume by selling goods at rock-bottom prices, a strategy that prioritizes survival over prosperity. This isn't a victory, it's a desperate scramble to stay afloat in a shrinking market. Take a shoe factory in Fujian as an example. Once, it supplied premium sneakers to American brands, reaping substantial profits, but as orders migrated to Indonesia, it pivoted to churning out low-cost shoes for African markets. Profits evaporated, workers' wages were slashed, and the factory operates on a shoestring, its machinery humming only sporadically. Yet, social media heralds soaring exports, ignoring the grim reality. This factory's struggle reflects an economy surviving by undercutting itself, where businesses sacrifice long-term viability for short-term existence. The workers, many supporting families, bear the brunt, their livelihoods tethered to an industry forced to compete on price rather than quality. Meanwhile, state-owned banks boasted a 9.3% profit surge in 2024, but small and medium enterprises faced a record 7.6% loan default rate. Policies favoring state conglomerates, such as guaranteeing real estate ventures or funding massive infrastructure projects, have starved the private sector of financial oxygen. Ordinary citizens feel the squeeze too. Savings interest rates are kept artificially low, while living expenses like electricity, gas, and healthcare skyrocket. State-backed real estate projects receive priority bailouts, leaving buyers of private developments stranded, their investments reduced to empty promises. The middle class, once hailed as the catalyst for China's economic ascent, is now suffocating under debt. Approximately 200 million middle-class citizens grapple with mortgages, many earning less than their monthly interest payments. Living costs are spiraling, particularly for rent, education, and medical care, while incomes remain stagnant. Data from the National Bureau of Statistics reveals that in Q1 2025, the Consumer Price Index rose 0.3%, but price increases hit essentials, housing, school fees, hospital bills, while food prices like pork and vegetables dipped. People don't feel wealthier. They're forced to spend more on unavoidable necessities. Their budgets stretch to the breaking point. Consider a middle-class family in Shanghai. The father, a tech worker, clocks 12-hour days, but his salary barely covers rent and private school fees for their child. The mother takes on part-time gigs to afford medical care for elderly parents. They once envisioned a life of comfort, perhaps a second home or family vacations. Now, each month is a grueling fight to avoid financial ruin, their dreams replaced by the relentless pressure of bills. Meanwhile, state media trumpets national prosperity, a narrative that feels alien to them. This family's story echoes across millions of households, urban dwellers who inhabit modern cities but live on the edge of economic collapse. They navigate skyscraper-lined streets, yet their lives resemble an unending marathon, each step weighed down by financial strain. The economic reality starkly contrasts the winning big rhetoric. Factories are shuttering, jobs are vanishing, and the middle class is sinking under debt's weight. The stories of workers, small business owners, and families struggling to survive are drowned out by patriotic slogans. This isn't a nation basking in triumph. It's a society wrestling with systemic challenges that propaganda can't conceal. The gap between the gleaming image of progress and the gritty reality of daily life grows wider, leaving millions questioning whether the victory they're told to celebrate exists at all. 2. Technology and society. Shattered dreams under the spotlight. In the realm of technology, headlines scream of breakthroughs, domestic lithography machines unveiled, Huawei conquers 5N barriers, or China's chip fund powers up. These stories flood social media, fostering the belief that China is on the verge of surpassing the US and Taiwan to dominate the semiconductor industry. Shared at lightning speed, they convince citizens that their nation is ascending to tech superpower status. But the truth is far grimmer, a sobering counterpoint to the hype. The extreme ultraviolet lithography (EUV) machine, indispensable for producing cutting-edge chips, is manufactured exclusively by ASML in the Netherlands. Despite pouring billions into research, China remains unable to replicate this technology. Chip design software, ADA, and other critical components are also controlled by Western companies. In 2024, China's chip imports totaled $34.90 billion, surpassing its oil imports, a staggering figure that underscores its dependence on global supply chains. Even touted advances like Huawei's Xi'an chip relied on foreign technology integrated before U.S. sanctions tightened. These aren't leaps forward, they're stopgap measures in a race where China trails. Imagine a young engineer at a Shenzhen semiconductor firm, his chest swelling with pride as he reads about China's tech triumphs. But, at work, he sees the truth. His company imports Dutch equipment and American software. When sanctions disrupt supply chains, production grinds to a halt and layoffs loom. On Weibo, influencers still laud China's tech supremacy, but he's preoccupied with how to pay rent. His story embodies the semiconductor industry's reality, where the dream of self-reliance remains elusive. Once, he believed he'd help propel China to global tech dominance. Now, he's just trying to hold on to his job in an industry tethered to foreign innovation. Corruption compounds these challenges. The National Integrated Circuit Industry Investment Fund, established to bolster semiconductors, was shaken by scandals in 2024, with 6 top executives investigated. Such incidents erode confidence in major tech initiatives and expose systemic opacity. Meanwhile, Taiwan's TSMC and South Korea's Samsung forge ahead with 3nm and 2M chips, while China struggles with 7M processes. This isn't a breakthrough, it's a grueling chase under unfavorable conditions, hampered by internal mismanagement and external barriers. Beyond technology, Chinese society grapples with profound crises, particularly among its youth, the generation meant to shape the nation's future. The government no longer publishes unemployment rates for those aged 16-24, but a Tsinghua University report revealed that only 47.3% of 2024 graduates secured jobs, with humanities fields dipping below 40%. The phrases bachelor's degree holders delivering food and master's graduates unemployed have shifted from rare anecdotes to troubling norms, reflecting a labor market unable to absorb its educated youth. In 2025, a record 12.22 million college graduates flooded the job market, but high-quality positions were short by 2-3 million. Many young people have turned to full-time children, relying on parental support or slow employment, postponing job hunts due to scarce opportunities. These terms signal more than personal despair. They warn of a generation losing faith in the future. Picture a graduate from a prestigious Beijing university, her sights set on a media career. After 6 months of rejected applications, she takes a job as a delivery courier, her diploma gathering dust. On Douyin, influencers proclaim China's endless opportunities, a message that rings hollow. Her experience mirrors that of millions of young people who feel discarded by a system that promised them a bright future but delivered uncertainty. Economic inequality deepens this crisis. In 2024, over 60% of individuals with assets exceeding 10 million RMB transferred wealth abroad, investing in markets like the UK, Singapore, and Japan. Tycoons like Li Ka-shing moved fortunes overseas, while manufacturers in Fujian and Guangdong built new factories in Vietnam and Indonesia. Even Shenzhen's real estate speculators have shifted to buying suburban land. This mass exodus of wealth signals a lack of faith in the winning big narrative, even among the elite who've profited most from China's rise. Consider a Guangzhou entrepreneur who built a thriving business producing electronic components. As orders dwindled, he relocated his factory to Vietnam, lured by lower costs and generous incentives. He also funneled assets to Singapore to secure his family's future. Back in China, his workers were left jobless, forced to scrape by with low-wage urban jobs. This tale underscores a stark divide. The wealthy can escape, while ordinary citizens are anchored to a landscape of diminishing opportunities. The entrepreneur's decision wasn't just business. It was a vote of no confidence in the system that propaganda claims is thriving. Ordinary people face relentless financial pressures. A single surgery can bankrupt an urban family, a mortgage can chain them to decades of debt, and raising a child feels like an economic earthquake for many households. While state-owned banks flaunt profit spikes, small businesses collapse, and workers lose livelihoods. This is a society where victory enriches a select few, while the majority bear the cost. Imagine a single mother in Hangzhou, scraping by as a retail clerk. She supports her young child and aging parents, but her income barely covers rent and medical expenses. When her child falls gravely ill, she borrows heavily to cover hospital bills, plunging into debt. Meanwhile, news broadcasts celebrate China's remarkable progress, a narrative that feels like a cruel jest. She doesn't see herself in the victory story, only a life growing more precarious. Her struggle is shared by millions of ordinary citizens whose voices are silenced in the clamor of propaganda. These individuals, factory workers, single parents, struggling graduates, form the backbone of Chinese society, yet their hardships are erased, supplanted by tales of national grandeur. The technological and social reality stands in sharp opposition to the winning big rhetoric. The dream of tech dominance is stymied by dependency and corruption, while young people face unemployment and disillusionment. The rich flee with their fortunes, leaving ordinary citizens to shoulder the burden of a faltering system. This isn't a nation celebrating triumph, it's a society wrestling with existential challenges that no amount of sloganeering can obscure. The contrast between the polished image of progress and the gritty reality of daily survival is stark, leaving millions to wonder if the victory they're urged to embrace is anything more than a mirage. Truth twisted, and a plea for clarity. One of the most troubling indicators is the government's decision to halt the release of critical data. Youth unemployment rates, urban population movements, consumer confidence indices, and changes in savings deposits have vanished from public view. It's akin to a patient with a 41-degree fever hiding the thermometer and declaring themselves cured. The media plays a pivotal role in distorting reality, curating news to highlight achievements, high-speed rail networks, rising exports, ambitious tech projects, while burying issues like public debt, inequality, and job crises. Picture a resident of a small city tuning into news about export surges and feeling a swell of pride. But in his community, factories are shuttering, friends are jobless, and living costs are climbing. He's unaware that unemployment data has been suppressed, and the positive figures he hears are a curated slice of reality. This is how truth is warped, trapping people in a fabricated victory narrative. They're swept up in tales of grandeur, while systemic issues, from ballooning debt to widening inequality, are methodically concealed, their existence denied by a media machine that prioritizes image over substance. The most vocal proponents of China has won big are often patriotic influencers and social media marketing accounts. They appear in videos draped in national flags with sensational titles like, America collapses, or Huawei crushes Apple, designed to inflame emotions. These figures aren't concerned with whether their audience has stable jobs or can pay debts. Their goal is views, donations, and advertising revenue. This isn't patriotism, it's a calculated exploitation of emotions, sidelining the real struggles of citizens, from unpaid workers in Ningxia to Xinjiang farmers at the mercy of unpredictable harvests. Imagine an influencer with millions of followers raking in hundreds of thousands of RMB monthly from patriotic videos. From a lavish Beijing apartment, he waxes poetic about China's might, but he never mentions the workers owed back wages, the graduates languishing without jobs, or the families selling homes to cover medical debts. His content fuels an emotional economy where national pride is commodity. He profits not only from views but also from promoting patriotic products. Huawei phones, traditional Chinese foods, while ordinary citizens grapple with daily survival. His videos are slick, his rhetoric polished, but they offer no solace to those whose lives contradict the triumphant narrative he sells. Despite these challenges, China's achievements are undeniable. Its high-speed rail network is the world's largest, its artificial intelligence sector is advancing rapidly, and its role in global supply chains remains critical. Companies like Huawei and BYD have carved out international reputations, and cities like Shenzhen and Shanghai pulse with innovation. Yet, these successes cannot eclipse the obstacles. The semiconductor industry leans heavily on foreign technology. Youth unemployment threatens long-term stability, and economic inequality is widening at an alarming rate. Consider a BYD engineer, proud of his company's leadership in electric vehicles, but he knows colleagues toil for meager wages and relentless competition demands grueling overtime. While BYD is celebrated in headlines, workers like him don't feel they've won big. Their reality? Low pay, high pressure, uncertain futures. Clashes with the national narrative of triumph. These workers are integral to China's victory story, yet they reap few of its rewards, their contributions overshadowed by the glossy image of corporate success. The central question remains: who reaps the benefits of China's victory? Not the farmers in Xinjiang, the workers in Ningxia, or the urban youth drowning in debt and joblessness. The true winners are state-owned conglomerates, the affluent elite, and those who control the flow of information. Ordinary citizens, urged to swell with pride over victory, bear the heaviest burden. They endure financial hardship, job losses, and a life growing ever more precarious, while the wealthy can effortlessly relocate their fortunes abroad, seeking greener pastures. In a world where information is tightly controlled and emotions are manipulated, clarity is the most valuable currency. When you hear China has won big, pause and reflect. Who's winning? Is it you, with a dwindling bank account, or those behind the screen, profiting from your patriotism? Numbers don't lie, but they can be buried. Dreams can't sustain you, but they can dull the sting of hunger. In an age of dazzling slogans, choose to anchor yourself in truth, no matter how harsh. China stands at a crossroads, a global economic powerhouse on one path, a society riddled with instability on the other. To genuinely win big, it must confront these challenges head-on, from economic reforms to creating opportunities for its youth. Only then will victory transcend rhetoric, becoming a tangible reality felt by every citizen. Stay vigilant, seek the truth, and ask yourself, in the China has won big saga, where do you stand? Are you a participant in the triumph, or merely a spectator, ensnared in an emotional spectacle?